Welcome to yet another episode of Setting the Pace, the only show that gives you an inside track to the world of Kenyan athletics. I'm Martin Kano. In studio today, we have Celeste Carone, who is a sports journalist with CCTV. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we have Stephen Mwaniki, who is an athletics coach with the Kenyan prison. Welcome.
Thank you.
As we come to the end of the year, the athletics season is also winding down. On today's show, we'd like to look at Kenya's athletic performance in 2012, the highs and the lows of the year, the athletes of the year, and what to expect the year to come. Public opinion is divided on whether or not Kenyan athletes lived up to their reputation in this year. Do you think the public has really high expectations of our athletes' performance? Celeste?
I'd like to say yes and no. And the yes here comes from the fact that, look, this is a country that has a very rich history in athletics. You're looking at a situation where, is it 6 out of the top 10 in the world in the middle and long distance running are Kenyans. So yes, the public must have expectations of these athletes. These are athletes who have led every single race, money event, let me call it money event, the whole year. Come to the Olympics, the gold medals are few and far between. So of course Kenyans are going to be disappointed. Of course the reactions are going to be harsh. It happens all over the world. I also say no because we can pick positives out of the Olympics. Number one, Kitum did very well in the 800 meters. You're looking at a junior athlete who weeks before the Olympics had won silver in the 800 meters in Barcelona. So that was a good show. It shows that Kenya has a future. Then you look at a situation like the 10,000 meters and the 5,000 meter women's event. I know Kenyans are going to be very, they are not very happy, especially looking at Vivian's form coming into the Olympic Games. I mean, this was a world champion in the cross country, a world champion in the 5 and 10,000 meters. But Kenya has never won gold in the 10,000 meter event, in the women's event, in the Olympics.
Anything in the track.
They've actually never, exactly, they've never won. You know, even the silvers are hard to come by.
Yes.
But Vivian won silver and bronze. And we had Sally Kipyego winning silver. So the women are making strides. So I think it's a yes and a no answer for me.
Coach, what do you think?
Yeah, my take is that we performed well, though Kenyans are trying to, you know, it depends with the parameters that you are using to gauge our performance. And I know people are relying on what happened in Beijing and compared to London. But if we look at our performance according to the having new upcoming athletes coming on board, we can say that we performed very well. The case of Kiptum, who has never been in the world major stage, and he performed extremely well, getting us a bronze medal. If you look at Sally Kipyego, what he was able to get as a silver medal, and this is no mean achievement. And also if we look in terms of what Rudisha did, for the first time in so many years, we've never seen an Olympic like what we saw in London, breaking a world record and getting us a gold medal. So we performed extremely well. Though Kenyans are looking at it, in Beijing we had 7 gold medals, and now looking at 2 gold medals, they think that we did not perform. But they should know that this is a major event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before the Olympics, of course, the national head coach made a prediction. And it's a controversial prediction because he said that Kenyans will win 10 gold medals and 30 medals in total. Was that realistic?
Yeah, you know, Kirwa was in Beijing, and he was able to gauge the team which was in Beijing and this one which went to London. But you see, there were so many factors which came into play. So we can't really blame Kirwa, because if I was also in charge of the team, I would have given my prediction. Because as a coach, you have to know, you have to first know how many medals can you have. That is very important, because you have to set your target. So if you don't set your target, then there is no business of going to any major event.
Certainly, I think you know, with the kinds of performances that our athletes had produced before the championships, it was easy on paper to say that minimum.
Exactly. In fact,
minimum
I'd also
6 or
like
7.
to think that part of our problem was we were overconfident.
I agree.
You see, Kenyans had won everything. Look at 2010 was a brilliant year for Kenya. Actually, it started in 2009 in Berlin. They won events, they won gold medals in events they'd never won. You know, you're looking at Vivian Adeline and Masai winning 5 and 10,000 meters, you know.
Women's marathon?
You look at clean sweeps in marathons. Then over the years, you come in from 2009. In 2010, it was another brilliant year. Commonwealth Games, Africa, senior athletics, Kenyan sweeping everything, the marathons as well. Same to 2011 in Daegu. Now, the issue comes in 2012, we become the team to beat. But we forget that everybody else has been working hard for that particular, you know, the Olympics actually is the one thing all athletes endeavor to win. In fact, you have athletes who just win Olympics and disappear. 4 years later, they come back and defend their titles.
Pamela Chelimo.
Exactly.
Good example.
Exactly. So you're looking at a situation where everybody else was working for this one goal, the Olympic Games. Kenyans forgot, just slightly, I think our athletes slightly forgot that the rest of the world had actually worked extra hard.
Yes, and I think, actually, I go back to the coach's prediction, and I think then the coach should have now realized that we've been on top of the world, we've won everything lead up to the Olympics. He should have erred on the side of caution and maybe even lowered the standard, lowered the prediction.
Stick to the number of Beijing.
Certainly, yeah, as a standard, you know, so that we know we can do 6 medals. But asking for 10 and then having athletes injured at the Olympics. You know, they certainly didn't get injured at the Olympics. So, yeah, I mean, and there's many other factors, of course, that come into performance of our athletes. And so I can understand why the public is, you know, quite disappointed. And I was disappointed too, because I expected that at least at the very minimum, we win the same number of medals. But, you know, looking at the dynamics of the Beijing performance and London is, you know, we actually got some surprise medals in Beijing. You know, Nancy Lagat in the 1500.
Martin, I'm trying to imagine you being in charge of the Kenyan team, and you're coming from Beijing with 7 gold medals, and now you're telling the public that you're going to get, I think we are going to get 3 gold medals. I think you won't even leave Jomo Kenyatta, because now already you are lowering the expectations.
We have I think that something has to be done. That's the kind of thing that has to be done, yes.
Personally, I think the coach, you're a coach, I think he should have stuck with, we will defend our titles. Anything else we get will be
is a bonus. I agree.
And that is how it should have been. I don't know, maybe as a coach you have a different opinion.
No. For example, let's take a very good example. You remember the person who was in charge of the England team. He predicted that England will harvest, Britain will harvest 8 gold medals. They ended up with 4 or 6, I think, and he had to resign. You see, you have to tag your whatever you want to achieve. It must be higher.
But it has to be realistic also. It has to be realistic. And if you look, when I'm talking about realist prediction of this, is that if you dissect the performances of the Olympics, and if you look at event by event, the men's, you know, in my opinion, we had no chance in the 5 and 10,000 meters because, of course, the Ethiopians were coming in. Mo Farah was definitely a feature, and then, you know, there was this whole hullabaloo about the preparations of the 10,000 meters. You know, and for them to even factor that we were going to do well, and yet none of our athletes who were selected for the national 10,000 meter team could run with Mo Farah or any of these other guys in the last 200 meters. I mean, that was just, you know, it's like predicting a medal in the 400 meters. It's pretty difficult, unfortunately. And I think so that's something that I'm just going back into the realism of our performance and what do we expect of our athletes. We have to be, and coaches included, we have to start thinking of, do we have a chance, a real chance, not just, you know, a prediction just to make people happy.
If I can say something, you know, as a coach, when you talk to the press, you should know that you should also, at the back of your mind, you know your athletes are watching. So if you start saying that we have no chance in 10,000 or whatever, you're already trying to tell the athletes, whatever we are doing here, it's not possible. And you see, athletics coaching or in any coaching, you have to know that it's psychological. You have to play, you have to up your game. And you have to do it. Psychological takes around 75%.
I agree. I understand. I totally understand.
25% is physical.
Yeah.
But
so you have to be.
My only issue that came with, as far as the 10,000 meters is concerned, especially for the men, is why is it that year in, year out, we are talking about the same issues? We talk about the sprint finish. Year in, year out, Kenyans have the best endurance in the world. We will change leads. The 3 different athletes, they will keep changing leads, but come to the final 400 and we fade away. So the question remains is, Athletics Kenya tried a different approach, which initially had there was a lot of controversy to it. Why the United States? Why are we going to Eugene to do our trials? In fact, there had been talks of having a camp in the US as well. We tried a new system, it didn't work. So then what are we supposed to do?
Well, I think with the 5 and 10,000 meters, there's many factors why our athletes, it's not to say that they're not any good, they're very good. It's just that little one bit. And if you look at the winner of the 5 and 10,000 meters, Mo Farah prepared for the situation that led him to win the gold medals all through his races in the year.
Yes.
Our athletes didn't. They didn't prepare for that situation, Mo Farah was running 15 smaller races, 1,500, 3,000, and he would prepare for that sprint. Our athletes don't prepare for that kind of sprint in a situation that simulates a championship.
Actually,
so
our
that
10,000
is
meter
it.
guys go for road
it doesn't
races,
matter. It doesn't matter where they have selected.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. They could be selected in
end up
Russia.
in road races
Anyway,
most of the time.
basically, I think it all boils down to not the selection, but the preparation and the training. And that's why we probably don't do so well in the 10,000.
I think, Martin, with preparation, for the first time in so many years, this time round we prepared our athletes. They were given adequate time. You remember we had a camp where we took our athletes to Eldoret.
Yes.
And also going to Eugene. This was also very important. It was part of the psychological preparation. We were trying to tell the whole world that we are preparing our athletes and even taking them out of the country. And you remember in Eugene, most of the athletes who ran the 10,000 meters, they performed they even posted their personal best.
No, and that's okay. They did very well, but they did not prepare for a situation that would bring them a gold medal, which means they didn't prepare for the last
What I
kilometer
want to say, and what I said earlier is that in the London Olympics, there are so many factors that contributed to our performance, of which I don't want to discuss right now because I wasn't in London, and all that we've been reading is hearsay and whatever. But the most important thing is that the federation tried its level best to prepare these athletes. They were taken to camp in Eldoret. They went to Eugene. This was part of preparation. So the preparation for me was okay. But whatever happened after our preparation here in Nairobi and now going to London, that one I cannot be able to say something.
My thought about this, and coming as a former athlete, and just watching the race unfold, halfway through, Kenyans are renowned for endurance and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Nobody made an effort to determine how the race outcome was from the beginning. Everybody waited to the last kilometer, and when you're starting on the last lap of 10,000 meters with 12 participants in the last lap together, Kenyans have no chance. And our athletes did not prepare for that situation. That is why they will not win until they prepare for something like that. And they could learn from Mo Farah, who went through that, who prepared for the exact situation like that. And that is what, preparation, selection, doesn't matter. If our athletes can't prepare to win in the very last 50 meters, then all that doesn't matter. We're judged by the number of medals we win, and if you don't win, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Our race tactics on race day. I mean, perfect example, 5,000 meters women. When Vivian finished, she didn't believe that Meseret had beaten her. Why? Because at one point she was busy looking at Tirunesh rather than running her own race. It had nothing to do with, it doesn't matter who's in the race with you. They keep, every time we do interviews and they tell you, I don't care who's in the race. I am going there to win. But clearly you could see a situation where after the 10,000 meters, what Tirunesh did in the 10,000 meters, Vivian's mind was on Tirunesh. By the time Meseret took off, Vivian, no matter the kind of kick she has, she couldn't. So I also want to call our race tactics to question him.
They were. I mean, even Pamela Chelimo's tactics in the 800 final. I mean, she went too early.
She conceded that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of those. Now, there's been a lot of public discussions about athletes, our athletes doing well in the cash events, the IAAF Diamond League events, as opposed to doing well in the Olympics. What do you think about this?
To me, it's a non-issue, really. It's not even, you cannot, what people don't understand is the championships actually make you more money in the money events. So if you don't do well in the Olympics and the Worlds, you don't get as much money because an Olympic champion and a world champion get higher appearance fees, you get certain small endorsements and in fact your endorsements from your companies, if you're a Nike person, Adidas, whichever, Puma, it goes higher. So usually it is very, I think, mistaken for many people to think that just because the Diamond League is offering 3 million Kenya shillings, for you to win a race, to win the Diamond Trophy, you actually do better in the Diamond League than than the championship. That is totally mistaken.
I wish to concur with her because a major championship, a lot is at stake. Secondly, you know, in the championship, you have to go through the qualifying rounds. There is a qualifying round, the semi-finals and the finals, and anything can happen. But with the Diamond League, it's just one straight race. A very good example is Rudisha was able to win as a gold medal in 800 and even breaking the world record. What happened after that? He went for the Diamond League, the final one.
He lost to Aman.
And he lost it to Aman again. So things do happen, and our people should understand that.
But that gold medal is far more valuable than people think. You know, I think that's what it is. And so, you know, I think the public has to understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People need to understand that nobody loses on purpose. In fact, I remember one athlete kept saying, do people think we like to lose? Nobody loses. In anything you do in life, nobody ever wants to lose on purpose. So the thing, that, like you said, the public need to understand is this, they go hand in hand. Championships and what we'd call money races. They are intertwined and you cannot separate the two. Look at someone like Ezekiel Kemboi. He's a championship athlete. Typical. I mean, Ezekiel Kemboi wouldn't really bother with the Diamond League. He doesn't, that is left to the likes of Kipsiele. He doesn't really bother with it much. But when it comes to a championship, you see that he tells you, I am going to win this. He's determined to get it. Yet, he doesn't have any more money. In fact, I think people like Paul Kipsiele make more money than he does. But the fact that his stature goes up, so that is enough for him. You see? Yeah, so he can live on that.
Speaking of Kemboi, highlights of the London Olympics. Of course, you know, Kemboi did, you know, he came through again.
The dance or the gold?
Well, both. Well, I think, you know, Kemboi actually became a special, you know, after this Olympics, he's in a special level in Kenyan athletics. Yeah. Because for the first time ever, you know, since Kenya started participating in the Olympics, Kemboi defended his title. He's the first.
He won two.
Yes.
2008 Beijing was Bremen.
No. Yes. Kemboi won in Olympics. 2004.
Yes.
2004 and 2000.
So
he's the first. He's the first athlete to defend his title, which was, you know, he's in a special category now, and of course Rudisha.
You know, Kemboi is the guy is a championship runner,
performer,
and he likes performing at the major championships. And this, I don't know, I can't explain it, but you see, it goes with the psychological preparation.
How about Rudisha's performance? I mean, that was tremendous.
Oh, that was tremendous, and I think Rudisha was more prepared for this thing because all along, even the president of IAAF said that he thinks Rudisha and Usain Bolt will break the world record, and it happened. And the happiest guys, Kenyans, were very happy, and the second guy who was very happy and he has done a splendid job is the former 800-meter record holder, the British guy. It's called Sebastian Coe.
Yes,
he was the happiest guy.
He was more, I think he was happier than Rudisha was.
He was happier than Rudisha
at some point.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, in middle to long distance races, you obviously don't expect a world record, much like a 100 or 200 meter event. You know, so for Rudisha to just hit the front and just go at it and run 100.
I remember during the national trials, and we asked him, I even asked Coach Brother Com, and I was like, will you be going for the world record? And Rudisha says, if everything is perfect. If the weather, you know, Rudisha always says, if the weather is set, is perfect, I wake up and it's perfect, and I will go for the world record. We woke up that day in London and everybody was like, it is world record day. Actually, everybody said you could feel it, that it was world record day for Rudisha.
I mean, that was tremendous, you know, to actually be the first man to run 100 seconds for the, you know, for the 800 meters is really tremendous.
And even for the British, you know, these guys, the British, they are coming from a tradition of middle distance.
Yes.
So they were very happy.
So yeah, for that to be the highlight of the games, not even 100 or 200 meters, okay. All right, Asbel Kiprop.
Asbel Kiprop, I thought, I asked one question to the coaches. Why did we take, if he was injured in training, why did we take an injured person to the Olympic Games? Kenya is not short of 1,500 meter athletes. I mean, the first 5 in the world are Kenyans in the 1,500 meters in the men's event. And everybody said...
is he the defending champion?
He's the defending champion. It's a psychological factor. The minute, you know, McLuffy sees Asbel Kiprop in the starting lineup, he will work his tactics around Asbel. Asbel can pull the rest back and let Kenyans win. But once again, we actually got everything wrong in 1,500 meters. We did the same in Beijing. In Beijing, Asbel was crowned because Ramsey failed the drug test.
It's unfortunate that Asbel Kiprop was injured. And something about injuries and all this. You see, we cannot blame the coach because there are so many people involved in making decisions. For example, there's a medical doctor, there's a team manager, there's a coach, and all this. And then there are so many factors that you have to look into before you decide to drop an athlete. But the most important thing is that the federation tried its level best to prepare these athletes. They were taken to camp in Eldoret. They went to Eugene. This was part of preparation. So the preparation for me was okay. Maybe the doctor was wanted to give Asbel Kiprop a benefit of doubt, and maybe it did not work.
Anyway, speaking of other successes of Kenyan runners in 2012, obviously Boston Marathon this year, different conditions, but still champions. What do you think of a new athlete winning the Boston Marathon this year?
I think as the Boston was even better for the women than for the men. I mean, you're looking at Wesley Korir, he's lived in the US, so, there's always that thing of, is he Kenyan, is he really Kenyan enough? But looking at the women, I think it's always good, especially when you see the women winning these races. You're having a situation where Kenyan women are on the rise. Especially in long distance running. It used to be just Catherine Dereba. But these days we have a selection of names to choose from. Sharon Cherop winning, leading a Kenyan clean sweep. I thought that was the best performance. For me, Boston was about the women, not even the men's event.
Okay. Berlin Marathon this year. Of course, the top marathon runner in the world, Geoffrey Mutai, came back again after a difficult Boston. Came back to win, and there was a bit of controversy to his win because him and his training partner basically they didn't sprint at the end, and that was the controversy. What do you think about that?
No, people like trying. It's a perception, because nobody in any event, everybody wants to win. There was this issue of when Paul Targat broke the world record. And people are saying that...
in the same Berlin Marathon.
Yeah, in the same Berlin, they said that this other guy was supposed to win, but Paul Targat
let him
won.
go.
No, there's no issue about that, because a lot is involved in this, because there's a lot of money for winning and breaking the world record. So Geoffrey Mutai won it clean.
Yeah, and I think, not even that. I think, if you look at Kimeto, this is a young boy.
He was a debutant, actually.
A debutant.
For 42 kilometers.
42 kilometers. And these guys were operating at such high pace in
Exactly.
the second and third half of the race that by the time they got towards the end, you could tell they were spent. They were so done. If the race ended like a few steps before, they probably would have just fallen. It was so
they actually
difficult.
managed 2 or 4, so that was really
indeed,
good. That was very
tremendous.
good.
Yeah,
That was
If
impressive from them.
you take an example of the Amsterdam Marathon, the recent Amsterdam Marathon, there were 4 Ethiopians, and all of them, this was the first time they were running marathon, and they were going down with the Kenyan athlete. And what happened? Even we were thinking that this guy will be stopped by the Ethiopians. And what happened? Experience carried the day. He won the marathon.
I think also, as far as marathon running is concerned, Kenya has a lot to look forward to, because you look at a situation where we had a number of debutants who came in and did very well. Lucy Kabu, for the women's race, she was finished 4th once and 5th in London. I think 5th in London, and it is really good to see Kenyans doing the track to road transition.
Yeah,
the transition is what I like.
Yeah, but with Lucy Kabu, I think I want to differ. There's something. The handlers, those who are handling Lucy Kabu, something happened because she went to, you remember in February she was in
Dubai.
Dubai.
Yes.
And then in April,
she was trying too much. She's doing
that
too
was
much.
too much.
And then she also wanted the Olympics, and you're like, you can only run at least two major marathons.
And she's fairly young, and
she still has time.
The great thing about Lucy, I'd say, is she's coming from a track background. She has the speed.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so she can
develop over time.
She can over time, and that speed becomes very valuable. And I think a lot of these younger guys who are now moving up to marathon without basically skipping the track will affect them down the road, because then they're not quite.
They don't have longevity. They won't have longevity on the road.
Coach, talk about the World Junior Championships. This was right before the Olympics.
Oh, the World Junior Championship, we managed to get a few medals. One notable thing is that Faith Chemgetich was able to defend her title. And then there was this Mercy also was able to win the 3,000. And here in Nairobi, she's always the darling of the crowd. A very small girl, running barefooted, and she was able to get a gold medal. So what happened is that something about the sprints. You remember the Alphonse Koscielny, whatever happened. It was somehow unfair, because for him to run And then again to be told to run another
A solo
race.
event.
on
A
his
solo
own.
Yes,
400 meters.
exactly.
That
This
was
guy
quite
did
unique,
a lot of
huh?
400.
By the
Really
time you go to the
unique.
final, it was spent.
But I think, you know, maybe one of the highlights coming from the World Junior Championships is 2 of our medalists coming out of the Junior Championships and going straight to the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know, Timothy Kitum, you know, silver medalist.
And Faith Chemgetich.
Faith Chemgetich.
Yeah.
You know, it really bodes well for them to get that kind of experience, you know, to compete. You know, they may, you know, Chemgetich may not have done much at the Olympics, you know, which is to be expected.
No, but that is
Kitum, no,
fine,
it's experience. She's getting the right kind of experience for a major championship so that, you know, as she gets older, she is able to handle a lot of the training that is required to compete at the Olympics. And she's got the experience.
Yeah.
You know, Kitum, of course, was tremendous.
Definitely,
You know,
yeah.
I
You know,
mean,
coming
this
from a
cow-
country where our junior to senior transition has always come under question, because you look at a situation where athletes do very well in the juniors, then more often than not, under 40% of them are the ones you will see winning again in that but same capacity in the seniors. It was really good for us to see that transition, especially with 2 weeks. You know, with 2 weeks already, you know, athletes coming out and running the seniors. I think
At the same time, I was also very happy with the decision made by the federation, because we were also able to send some of our juniors to go and join our 4x4 team in London. Like Alphonse Koscielny went there. And this is really something, because now they're getting the experience, going to London and participating in the Olympics. And also with Faith Chemgetich, if she's handled very carefully, I think she'll be like Nancy. You know, Nancy won as a gold medal in Beijing.
And she came from the junior ranks.
She came from the junior.
ranks.
So this transition, I would say that we are doing very well, and hopefully things will be good for us in 2016 in Rio.
Let's talk about 2013. What's coming up next?
2013, we are going for Moscow. And this World Championship is going to be tough. I know the Russians are preparing, and they have very tough athletes in Russia, especially if you look at the 800 meters. Sivanova, she's a very tough athlete.
Yeah, they have a whole procession line of
Exactly.
female 800-meter runners. So,
Yeah.
so that is, you know, for 800-meter runners, Chelimo and Chepkoskei.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, before we get to Moscow, I think it's good that we are having a World Cross Country Championship.
Yes, indeed.
You know,
Yes,
because
finally again.
you realize that every year we have a World Cross Country Championship. And I think that what could have been an issue for us this year, because we didn't have the athletes weren't really keen on cross country because there was no world event. But they will be keen on cross country now, which is very good for track athletes, you know, in building endurance and all that. So going for Poland, I think, is going to be a good thing for them. You know, it will be a really good preparation for Moscow. And I want to say here that we can promise Kenyans, you're going to see a very different Kenya from the Olympic
And
team.
you remember the
You will
last...
see a different Kenya.
Indeed. I think, you know, it's good we sort of experience this sort of downturn
Yes, yes.
in performance because, you know,
The
athletes
hunger
gonna-
now is back.
The hunger is back. Athletes can be extremely motivated to get back on top. You know, I can see, you know, the likes of Asbel, you know, getting back
Defending-
on top,
and, you know,
defending
they're
the
defending
titles.
so many titles.
You know, the women coming back to the top again in the long distance races, in the marathon for sure. The men's marathon especially was
Clean
was
sweeps
a-
again.
Yeah, clean sweep again, and I think we're looking forward to an exciting
Definitely,
2013 on the
definitely.
track.
And also, we still remember, at the back of our mind, we remember what we did in Poland. The last time we were in Poland, we swept
swept
everything.
everything.
Yeah, Big
Yes.
Gosh
Yeah.
was a great
Yes.
period. And
So Bid Gosh has good karma for Kenya.
Yeah.
Coach, any last thoughts on our performance of 2012?
Kenyans want to put it behind ourselves and think about 2013 and up to 2016. And what we need from our public is that we need more support. We need the corporate to come on board and assist our athletes. And we'll be back to the stage and be able to perform again. And Rio de Janeiro, we'll be able to scoop more medals like in Beijing.
Celeste.
I think Kenyans experienced all sorts of emotions, from joy, extreme joy, to disappointment. And the saddest bit is when it mattered most, when they really wanted to see the athletes get all the medals. They didn't. But you see, like, I want to agree with Coach. Being a fan is being a fan. Just support the athletes. Keep supporting the athletes. Personally, I think they did well. You know, with everything that they had to work with, it was a great year for Kenyan athletics, and it can only get better.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for watching.